Hi, Greg Whitmore from Tiny Mountain Wellness. Kind of a cool thing happened recently. I've become an adjunct professor through Central Washington University, my alma mater. Really, what that means is that Central Washington University recognizes my experience and my education and allows me to teach dual credit classes. In other words, my high school kids can get college credits by taking my health and fitness classes. So that's pretty neat, but hopefully, more importantly, it adds to the trust that I'm trying to gain from you. You and I are the same in that we're both searching out the truth when it comes to health and wellness. And there's a lot of myths out there, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and quite frankly, some things have changed and we're teaching things differently than we used to. With that being said, today I talk more about intermittent fasting and how it helped me with my autoimmune disease. So with that, let's dive right in.
Hi, Greg Whitmore, Tiny Mountain Wellness. Thanks for joining me today in what is kind of part two of a two-part series where I talk about autoimmune diseases. Remember in video one, which I'll have a link down in the description below, I talked about how I stumbled upon the fact that I had an autoimmune disease. Back in 2010, I got that stiff neck and the pain developed, got worse, I got depressed, and all the trials and tribulations I went through to come out with knowing that I had an autoimmune disease. And then, as we talked about, I weaned myself off some medication, prednisone, where I wasn't taking it, and it went away, and I was sure that maybe I'd kick that disease and I wouldn't ever have to deal with it again. Lo and behold, 2016, I started getting pain in my hands and down my leg, and found out that that autoimmune disease was back. Again, I never really found out exactly what the disease was. Blood tests were inconclusive. I'd need to go see a hematologist in order to find out exactly what autoimmune disease. Remember, there's over 100 autoimmune diseases, some of which I know I don't have, but I certainly don't know exactly which one I have. So again, 2016, pain returned. I went back on the prednisone, still tried the 60, 50, 40, weaning myself down, hoping that once again that those symptoms would go away and I wouldn't have to take any prednisone. I didn't want to be on medication, and certainly not prednisone. But I couldn't kick it. I was still taking 5 to 10 milligrams each day to try to maintain and try to take care of the symptoms. In 2018, at my yearly physical, I was talking to my doctor. Luckily, my numbers were great. He says, as long as your numbers are good, don't be too concerned with taking 5 milligrams of prednisone. But I still wanted to kick that. But my doctor did ask me, what are some of the issues I have? And I said, well, besides just wanting to get off medication, one of my worries is aging. Okay, I did a video on aging that I'll put a link in the description below as well. But one of my fears is that I won't age gracefully. I want to slow down the aging process. 55 years old now, and I really want my retirement years to be full of health and wellness and that sort of thing. But as we're discussing some of those things, my doctor said, have you heard of the concept of intermittent fasting? And first thing I heard was that word fasting, and I said, really? Fasting is something that really I've taught to my kids in health as not a good thing, not a healthy way to eat or a way to lose weight or anything like that. But my doctor said that intermittent fasting was coming up more and more in his readings about how it treats certain things like anti-aging, slows down the effects of aging, helps with Alzheimer's, maybe more energy, increased testosterone and human growth hormones. So I left his office kind of bummed that I'm still taking prednisone. He was going to set me up with an appointment with a hematologist to possibly find out exactly what autoimmune disease I had. And yet, I told him that I would look into intermittent fasting. A little bit skeptical, but I'd look into it. So I started doing a little research and watching some YouTube videos, checking out websites on the internet. And finally, I ordered 3 books, and I'll link those in the description below. But these 3 books, and the main one by Dr. Jason Fung, really kind of struck a nerve with me, so to speak, no pun intended. But I started believing in it, and it started making sense. So I started researching intermittent fasting. I checked out a lot of websites, I looked at YouTube videos, and then I ordered 3 books that really became important to me. I'll put links to those in the description below. The main one that I really found a lot of value on was by Dr. Jason Fung. And in reading his theory of weight control, obesity, inflammation, and how intermittent fasting really goes back to our ancestors, it started making a lot of sense. And so I think it was October that year, 2018, just last year, I started intermittent fasting. And I started a 16-8 regimen, which will mean more to you in future videos. But after just a couple weeks of reducing carbohydrates and doing that intermittent fasting, the pain in my fingers, my arms, my hips, my shoulders went away. So kind of struck me as interesting. So I stopped taking prednisone for my autoimmune disease, and the pain was still away. I didn't have any of those symptoms return. Furthermore, I had less stress. In a very stressful spring, I wasn't feeling the stress. I was sleeping better than I ever had. And even though I was intermittently fasting, I was still keeping up with my weight training class, my walk for fitness class, my workouts. I had more energy than ever. Mental clarity seemed good. So over the course of those few months, I was really becoming a big believer in intermittent fasting. An added benefit, which I wasn't even really trying for, was in October when I started intermittent fasting, I weighed 226 pounds. Just 3 months later in January, I was down 30 pounds to 196. So I stumbled upon weight loss without even meaning to. And I've struggled with losing weight over a lot of years. I've been 225 pounds, maybe get it down to 215, and that through yo-yo weight loss, I'd be up and down. And certainly as I got older, my metabolism slowed down. It was harder and harder to shed some of those winter pounds. And yet 30 pounds just melted away while I was still working out, still gaining strength, and still feeling like a lot of energy. So I can tell you, just since last October, starting intermittent fasting, having researched it, I'm a huge believer in intermittent fasting. And in my next videos, I'm going to put a lot of content out about intermittent fasting. So I want you to look at fasting with an open mind. Again, I've taught health for 28 years, so I was really skeptical about anything that involved fasting. And yet, now that I've researched it, I guarantee you, if you haven't heard of intermittent fasting, you will. And I believe it's going to be the normal eating pattern that we're going to be teaching here in the future. So, if any of these things resonate with you, possibly you have inflammation, arthritis, pain, maybe an autoimmune disease, you're taking prednisone and you don't want to be, or if you're feeling stressed, if you don't sleep well, maybe you have some of that brain fog or starting to show some of those signs of dementia. You want to put off the effects of aging, or certainly if you want to lose weight, then I guarantee you, you're going to want to look into intermittent fasting, because I believe it can do great things for you. And certainly intermittent fasting combined with some of the other things I've talked about of going low carb, cutting out or reducing some of the carbohydrates in our diet can mean a great improvement in our health and wellness. So stay tuned for more videos on intermittent fasting, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. Please subscribe to my channel and share it with as many people as you can. I want to grow this channel, and I can only do it with you. I certainly hope you found value in this. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and click on that bell notification so you'll be one of the first ones to know when I put out a new video. You can also find some more information on my blog at TinyMountainWellness.com.